Hello, folks. Good evening. Thanks for joining one of the last panel of the day. We're going to focus on food tech. So, for many of you, I guess you followed some sessions before. We had many discussions on AI, on how to fix the education system, on how government can drive tech for good. Another topic we wanted to discuss tonight is food and food tech, especially. And hopefully, I'm not alone. I'm surrounded by a bunch of experts in the food tech industry. And the first thing I'm going to do is just to let you introduce yourselves. Who are you? What do you do? What is your food tech expertise? Maxine, I start with you.
Hi, so I'm Maxine Roper. I'm co-founder of Connecting Food. I worked for over 20 years in the food industry in Europe before creating Connecting Food 4 years ago. And we are a food tech company, B2B, and we're actually providing full transparency to agri-food actors so that they can show to consumers complete transparency of where the food comes from, but also so they can control their supply chains using blockchain and other technologies.
Nice. Hila, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hila Cohen, and I'm from the United Nations World Food Program Innovation Accelerator. Our goal is to support startups and to scale them to support the operations in WFP in 80 countries around the world. So we work with startups in different streams of work from different countries around the world. So we're based in Munich, but we're totally global. And we're constantly looking for new applications. So if you're interested, go to our website, innovation.wfp.org. One other important thing to mention, it's an extra special week for the World Food Program. We were awarded on Friday the Nobel Peace Prize. And I think it's a very important moment in terms of food and the importance of its relationship to how it affects people's lives and how it can be misused. So we appreciate this moment to share our thoughts in this special week for us. Thank you.
Right, thanks. Nathalie.
Yeah, hello. So I hope my connection is okay. So I'm working on the development of what we call cellular agriculture. So just to briefly explain, cellular agriculture aims to develop animal products with biotechnologies techniques. So we can produce meat or fish or seafood from cells, animal cells. And we can also produce egg or dairy proteins with microorganisms with a technique that we call fermentation. So I've been working with different organizations for a few years, with universities, research centers, non-profits. And I co-founded Agriculture Cellular France to work on a national level in France. So yeah, that's
Nice. Thanks for the intro. So for the ones who are just joining the session, feel free to chat in the chat window. Feel free to introduce yourselves. Feel free to share any questions you might have on the topic. So with your intros, well, we can see that food tech is kind of broad and so large. Many topics that are under the name food tech. So I will start with a simple question for all of you. What is food tech for you? What is the purpose of food tech? Hila, I will start with you.
Well, for us as an innovation accelerator, we're looking not only into food, but we're looking into food systems, which is one of the most complex topics in the world, because food has a long journey before it arrives to our plates. And actually, some of the poorest people on the planet are farmers. And sometimes they're not even able to create enough food to sustain themselves, or they have to deal with climate shocks or with conflict. And so for me, food tech is about any type of innovation that can improve the lives of people who take any part in the food systems supply, in the food systems, economy systems, etc. And it's not only about the technology, it's not only about high tech, it also can be on low tech, and it's all important how we actually improve for the people who actually grow the food for us.
Nice. Talking about the food journey, Maxine, what is your purpose regarding food tech?
Yeah, from our point of view, I agree that it's all about the food journey. We believe it's applying digital solutions to the food industry and everything which is behind that to be able to bring breakthrough innovations or new business models. It can be traceability or auditing for transparency, but it can also be showing the journey, showing who produced the food, how it was produced, even how much the farmers were paid to produce that food, and that can actually bring I can help consumers make informed choices about, I want to buy this food, I'm prepared to pay a bit more for this food because I can see that the journey has been done in a sustainable way, or the growers have been paid in a reasonable way, and each consumer can actually then make an informed choice. So it's tech being applied to the food journey and the food industry to make it a better place and to actually make it more transparent.
Cool. And Natalie, on your side, how do you define food tech?
I would say that food tech should just make the best use of technology to offer good and affordable and healthy food for everybody. So there are a lot of ways to use technology to produce food, but we are already using a lot of technology to produce food in agriculture, and also because cuisine is chemistry, so it's a lot of chemistry and technology. So I think it's very broad. So yeah, it depends what we are talking about, I guess.
So maybe, we can have a closer look if we talk about the challenges or the issues you are all tackling. And Ila, since you have a worldwide view, I would say, you mentioned low tech, for example. What are the challenges food tech has to address, like, immediately?
I think this depends on every, the continent that you're looking at. The WFP operates in locations like Southeast Asia, Africa, and South America. And for us, what we try to do is understand what is the problems locally, and not come from a solution point, but from the problem point. One of the things we've seen, if we look at innovation in the food realm, we have a project called H2Grow. And what we did was we didn't reinvent the wheel. There's something called hydroponics, where you grow food with no soil, less water, and with nutrients. And what we created is a project that grows food in impossible places. And we started this project in Peru, but then saw the scalability potential, and we brought it to Algeria, where we initially brought these very sophisticated old shipping containers with LED lighting to grow fodder actually for the local livestock of the community in the Sawari refugee camp. Now, what we realized that's not scalable. So taking a $40,000 shipping container, we then decided with the local team to actually create hydroponic systems with locally available products. So we were able to create systems at 10% of the cost with local equipment that could be sustainable and relevant for the local community. H2Grow has now scaled to 9 countries, and in every country like Chad, Namibia, Kenya, we've taken the hydroponics concept that exists for years, but every time we speak to the local community to understand what they want to grow, what is the safest place for them to grow it, and what would they like to do with it. So it's to me, it's not only about the innovation, but it's about the needs of the community or the users that you solve the problem for.
Yeah, and I guess it's way different depending on the continent you are.
Yes.
And Maxine, what is the biggest pain you wanted to solve when you founded Connecting Food?
I can talk about, we see 4 really key challenges. It's more in the developed world when we're talking about food tech. The biggest and the first one is transparency, which is driven by the consumer, where you can't just be a big brand today and say, look, believe me, what I'm putting on the market, you can totally trust what I'm doing. in the digital era, we're all looking at what's behind everything. You know, if a politician is talking, we're all Googling the facts to see if it's true. It's the same on food. But there's a second key challenge, which is legislation. Governments are introducing more and more legislation on food. There's the Food Safety Modernization Act, which came out last month by the FDA in the US. Quite a big challenge. Also, at the same time, all the business models are changing. For example, e-commerce, delivery, which totally changes everything, the way we're actually buying food today. And then the fourth challenge is, in all of this context, is to increase efficiencies and reduce food waste along the supply chain by at the same time improving quality, because if we're talking about first world countries, people are looking at to buy better quality, but they don't necessarily want to pay a higher price for that. So they're the four key challenges that we're really seeing in food, that we believe that tech is addressing those different challenges today.
Mm. And Natalie, I guess, are you only, small word, but are you addressing an animal suffering, or does it go beyond that? I mean, do you want to provide another way to have proteins, or what is the challenges you are tackling? What are the challenges you are tackling?
The challenge is to find a better way to offer to the consumers animal products. It's really about animal welfare, but not only. It's also about the environmental impact, because we know that conventional animal farming is not so great for the planet, but it's also about health and public health, because since the beginning of this pandemic, I've seen more and more people saying that cellular agriculture is a great thing, because they see the link between industrial animal farming and this risk of zoonotic diseases. So they really see the need to find alternatives to industrial animal farming. So it's really about different things, and the idea is really to try to solve a big issue, and not only provide and produce a special product for just a small group of consumers. It's really about finding a way to really offer better protein for everyone. So but talking about the price and cost, that this product should be more expensive in the beginning, but with the time they are supposed to be cheaper. So it's supposed to be for everybody, and this is what we want.
Okay. There's just one question in the chat, Ila. This one's for you, on the Middle East and dealing with food waste. Do you see any startups or any tech companies that are trying to tackle the food waste issue?
So, food waste is a huge issue. I think, there's a high percentage of waste in all the food system process until the food even arrives to our plate. So I think we deal with different elements of food waste. There's a topic called post-harvest loss. So even directly after the smallholder farmer, let's say, picks up the food from the field and brings it to their shed or to their warehouse, there's so many things before it even reaches the market. There's so much loss that can happen in those very initial phases. So we deal a lot with post-harvest loss. We have different solutions that we work with local communities with different types of silos or bags where they can store their food to avoid food waste. So that is one project we've done. We've also tried to repurpose food. This was a project that we tried to run in Kenya, where we try to take, let's say, ugly foods that sometimes don't make it to the markets in Europe, and use them for local school meals for children. The complexity there was, and you also sometimes need to talk about failures, was the cost of repurposing the food, and we're still looking into that, how we can improve that in the future. In the Middle East, we've looked at different projects, for example, H2Grow, but I think it's also, let's say, I think this is a growing topic that you see. We try to, first of all, also educate, the supporters of WFP, take better advantage of what you have in your own refrigerators, or what you have, how can you make the best use of your own food. And so we're doing campaigns like that at a global level. I don't have a specific project that we've done in the Middle East, But, we're always open to new ideas. And if there's any startup or team looking into that, they can check if our accelerator is relevant for them.
Nice. So since we are based in Europe, and since you all have a glimpse on the whole food tech industry, how do you see the European continent position on the food tech trends? Are we behind? Are we in advance? What is the specificity of the continent? So what do you see? Natalie, I guess if you founded this association, you may think that we may be behind on some topics. What do you think?
So Europe or just anywhere in the world? The place of Europe?
Yeah, versus the US, versus Africa, versus Middle East or Asia.
Okay.
How do you see Europe in terms of food tech solutions?
Yeah, but I think the situation is very different depending on the European countries we are talking about. We have, for example, the Netherlands. It's a country where they have a lot of super interesting and cool projects. On alternative proteins, for example. So there are countries like that, and there are other European countries where we have, like, for example, in terms of cellular culture, for the cellular culture field, there are some countries where we have nothing, no startups, no project research. So it really depends on the countries. But I would say that there are good things happening in Europe, but we also see, and I think it's just not a surprise, but in the US they do a lot of things in terms of innovation and food, but also we see a lot of interesting things in Asia and some countries like Israel. They are also very active. So we have some places where a lot of interesting things are happening, and some other where they still have to get on board.
And next, did you see an evolution among your customers since you are dealing with big groups?
Yeah, well, I think there's a huge opportunity and a potential, because in Europe, food culture is really big, and now agriculture is really big. And in Europe, there's something really specific. We're good at dealing with complex food. It's not standardized. There are a whole load of choices out there. So I think there's this big potential of applying tech to food in Europe to make the choice even wider, which in Asia, in the US, they're more into standardizing food. In Europe's more into developing different kinds of food. And a bit like if you go to London, it's a financial center. They've applied tech to finance. I think Europe has this amazing opportunity to apply tech to agriculture, which is being done currently, but also to apply it to food in general, so that we should be able to become a world leader, like the US is a world leader in social networks. Europe should be a world leader in food tech. That's what we really believe, that we want to construct. We want to build on that.
And Ila, do you want to jump in on that question? So I guess you may receive tons of applications from all over the globe. So what do you see Europe in this trend?
So we do accept applications from European teams if they're interested to implement their innovations in Southeast Asia, Africa, or South America. So we're open to global applications. It just depends on the strategy of the startup. I think it's fascinating that you see a trend in terms of the amount of interest of people to improve the lives of others, to create solutions to one of the biggest problems on the planet, which is linked to hunger and food. So, I think I think you see a global trend in Europe and globally to develop innovations in the realm of food, which is great.
Cool. Well, we have 30 seconds to take another question. So is tech the answer? So you mentioned a lot of low tech solutions you saw in many countries. So I guess tech, but different types of tech. Low tech could be an answer.
I guess we need a mix of solutions.
Yeah. Is robotic? Yeah. Do you see any robotics applied to agriculture? Again.
We've used robotics more in warehousing. I think it just depends. Again, you need to think about, when you look at innovations in developing countries, what's the internet connectivity, the electricity capacity, etc. So robotics might come longer in the future. I'm assuming it's in bigger farms currently.
Great. Well, thanks a lot for your time. I invite anyone to take a next step and to go to every solution connecting food Cellular Agriculture in France, and the World Food Program. So thanks to all. Thanks for your time. See you soon.